wrought in vain the scribes.
Yeah, that's a very different reading from the one that we went through last time, didn't we?
Yes, but this is much more literal translation.
And
of
then
what
he
it says.
laments and he tears his clothes off.
When he laments and he tears his clothes off because of false prophets.
But because we thought we had the Torah, but we didn't have that. We didn't abide by the law because the law was changed.
Do you honestly think that if the prophet Jeremiah had thought that the Torah had been changed and that we no longer knew what it was, that he would that he wouldn't have just gone and told us, oh, and this is what you need to know?
No. I think that if scrolls are found in the temple and those are different from what was perceived to be the Torah, and he laments and he tears his clothes off, what that indicates is that part of the Torah was certainly lost, or that there were changes. Now we do know that, for example, the Torah as it was revealed, preservation of the Torah was oral, it was not written down initially.
That's fine.
Right? And how many years after was it written down?
Well, which part? The written Torah or the oral Torah?
The written Torah.
The written Torah was written down within the 40 years of, we're still in the wilderness.
Right, which didn't survive, right?
Well, that Torah was kept in the Torah of Moshe was kept next to the ark in the temple.
I'm saying the Torah that you have in your hand today was written down around 1,000 years ago?
What do you mean the Torah? Because there's many Torahs around the world.
So
right?
are they all different? Or
no, they're all the same.
They're all the same.
There's lots of what we call Sifrei Torah scrolls around the world.
Right.
So my synagogue has about 18 Torah scrolls.
Okay, so let's say
right?
the first Torah written down.
The first Torah scroll written by Moses.
Yes.
That was kept in the temple.
Right. Where is that?
That was hidden.
Okay,
we don't have that now.
So you don't have it.
We don't have the original scroll.
The Torah that you have in your hand today
is not the same scroll that Moses wrote.
Right, fair enough, I understand.
Fine.
But I'm saying, when you were in the wilderness,
yes,
and for over 1,000, 1,500 years, there was no written Torah. It was forbidden to be written.
No. The oral Torah was forbidden to be written. The written Torah had to be written.
So what was the difference between the oral and the written Torah?
The oral Torah is what God gave to be kept orally in order to explain the written Torah. The written Torah had to be written down and wasn't allowed to be changed, even one letter.
So you're saying that so Moses comes down with the Torah, alayhi salam, that was written down, and you have that, and that was compiled at the time of Moses.
Yeah, Moses.
And that exists up till today.
Not that exact scroll, but the same.
Obviously, we're not saying
the same
that
text.
You're saying the identical text.
Yes.
So, but from my understanding, there are different Torahs in the world today, right?
No, there aren't.
So you have the Greek.
What, a Greek translation?
Greek translation. But you have the original Hebrew, you're saying to me?
Yes, we have the original Hebrew.
The original Hebrew. Okay, so I think last time we discussed this we discussed this Jeremiah 8:8 last time.
I don't remember.
With Hashim. Do you remember with Hashim?
I remember having a conversation with Hashim. I can't remember what we talked about.
And I think the difference.
Didn't we talk about regrets last time?
Yeah, the difference of we talked about the rainbow as well, and God.
I don't remember the rainbow.
God making the rainbow to remind himself never to destroy all of humanity again.
I don't remember that.
Okay, we had this discussion with you last. Oh, I dare say it's starting to rain again. But my point to you, I think, Josh, is that I think last time what we did establish is that the Torah as we have it today was written down 1,000, 1,500 years plus after Moses.
Again,
and it was oral.
That's not what we established. We established that the oldest scroll that exists today dates to 1,500 years after Moses. Nobody said. We didn't say that we established that the Torah was first written down.
So I think
that's not what happened.
So let me see if I can find Hashim, because Hashim actually brought those verses up, which I don't actually have. Remember? Yeah. Because I think last time we brought those verses, specific verses up. That indicates, and I think the verse that you've just, Jeremiah 8:8, that you've read out today, the readings that we have are very, very different, and they come from your sources as well, actually. But let me see if Hashim's around. But in any case, Josh, right?
At the end of the day, what's the number of people that of witnesses to something that you would consider to be to be accurate, because a problem that you were talking about before was how do we know that it's been kept accurately and faithfully by the people that supposedly were transmitting it? Right? At what number would you say that testimony becomes quite reliable?
I think the testimony of people can be very small or very large.
Yes, but what
But
number?
no, I'm not saying there has to be a specific number. However, what you should be able to establish is a lineage
Yes.
of lineage, and also a mechanism
Yeah.
as to how that could be preserved, right?
Yeah.
Now, if one is relying solely upon an oral tradition, then one has to establish an oral tradition which is unchallengeable. So, for example, if you came up to me today and you said, Hashim, do you remember last time we were speaking with Josh and what's that?
This.
Do you remember last time we were talking with?
In this we
Do you remember?
contain
Do you remember?
three
Do you remember last time?
chains.
Well, look, I'll go back with your chains,
Three
but
independent
I'll involve
chains
Hashim as
from
well.
Moses.
Look, what I'm trying to say to you is, there's two things that are involved here. Number one is establishing a chain.
Yes.
Number two is establishing a mechanism within that chain that ensures that something can be recorded and transmitted and preserved and passed on accurately.
Yes.
Now, one of the things that you'd have to do is you'd have to show me examples of potentially thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of people who've completely memorized the Torah and can relay the Torah verbatim without addressing the book itself, from the first page up to the last page, because that then becomes a mechanism.
As in through history or in our present day?
I'm saying even till present day, it should be a continuation till present day.
And why does it have to be? Why does it have to be hundreds of thousands of people who are able to tell you it verbatim? Why?
Because what that establishes is that that's a very firm stronghold in terms of establishing an oral tradition that is impeccable, that has no
What if I can
flaws
show
or
you
problems.
hundreds?
I would still be very impressed if you could show me hundreds of people who have memorized the Torah from the first letter to the last letter and can relay it without looking into the book.
Yeah.
Now, what we can do with Islam, with the Quran, is we can show you millions of people
Okay.
who have memorized the Quran from the first letter to the last letter of the Quran and can relay it completely from memory. Millions. So what that
That's
established,
not very long though.
I agree, but
There are hundreds.
It's over 600. It's over 600 pages, right? I think Hashim, we're talking about the preservation of the Torah. Now Jeremiah 8:8 we brought up, I think last time. What Josh is implying is that it's not talking about preservation of the Torah, but it's saying he's talking about. Sorry, what was your?
Stop raining.
Has it stopped raining?
What it's talking about there, what Jeremiah is actually saying, and this is what the Mephorshim explain, is that it's all well and good you guys saying, oh well, nothing bad's going to happen to us, we've got the Torah with us. It's all well and good saying that, but if you've got the Torah with us and you're not following it, and you're not doing what you're supposed to do, then it's irrelevant. It mentions
Not just following it.
Yes.
So it says the scribes.
You're writing it in vain, right? You're writing it in vain. It's a pen which is in vain. Sheker does not only mean false, it also means vain.
No, it says the scribes have falsified it.
Well, it says something in Hebrew.
What does it say in Hebrew?
8 sheker sofrim.
Meaning?
Right? La sheker also. He's done it in vain.
No.
Sheker.
Why do the English translate it as falsified?
Well, in some
Or the
English
false- or the
translations,
false pens.
in some, I can't answer for some English translations, like the King James. I don't know what's going on over there, right? I don't
If you go
understand
to
that.
Chabad.org and you find the same translation, then
I don't know what it says in Chabad. I know what it says in my current translation over here.
what does it say?
Is Chabad trustable in terms of its translation? Is it done by rabbis?
I don't know where they got their translation from. I've no idea. I don't know if they're using the Lubavitcher Rebbe's translation or they're just using the JPS or I don't know.
No, but I'm just saying, generally speaking,
It's done by the Jews, right?
within
It's
your
not
community.
the Christians doing
Yeah,
it.
so-
you can't blame the Christians for that.
I'm not blaming, right? I'm not. I don't know who's made the translation. I don't know if the translation Chabad have on their website
Because that is only Hebrew, right? It
necessarily.
doesn't have the English?
No,
It
this
doesn't
is
have the
Hebrew
Hebrew-
and English.
Hebrew and English.
Right?
So what
if
does the English
example,
say in
if
Jeremiah
example in
8:8?
here,
Let's see over there.
if example you look in here,
I'll bring up the Chabad.org, see what that says.
So here it says, how can you say, we are wise, and the Torah of the Lord is with us? Surely the pen wrought in vain the scribes. The wise men are ashamed, they are dismayed and taken. Lo, they have rejected the word of the Lord, and what wisdom is in them. Therefore I will give their wives to others, and their fields to those, etc., 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 right?
But I'm saying the lamenting and the tearing of clothes, what was that to do with the scribes?
The lamenting, where's the lamenting? Because Jeremiah laments a lot in his book.
I think specifically when the scrolls are found.
Oh, in the story of Josiah.
He tears off his clothes.
No, Josiah.
Or tears his clothes.
Josiah tears his clothes.
Yeah, that's a different.
That's a different thing. The explanation of that, which I didn't know the last time we spoke about, so I know that we spoke about Josiah, we didn't speak about Jeremiah last time, but with regards to Josiah, the reason he teared his clothes was because it was opened to the rebuke found in the end of Leviticus, and he suddenly realized that this actually applies to the generations that have just preceded him,